for over 2,000 years. This was one of the most dangerous frontiers in China. Armies marched through these mountains. Empires fought for control of these narrow paths. Yet behind the walls, people still built Confucian temples, Buddhist pagodas, and places devoted to learning. Why did civilization continue to flourish in a place shaped by war? Today we travel to Daixian and Yanmenguan to find out. Hi, welcome back to Feng's China. I'm continuing my journey across northern China from the grasslands toward the heartland. This episode takes me further south, across the Hengshan Mountains that I mentioned in earlier videos. In the 11th century, crossing these mountains would have meant leaving the Khitan Liao Empire in the north and entering the Song dynasty, founded by the Han Chinese in the Central Plains. My first stop south of the mountains is Daixian, a small and ancient Celtic town. But to truly understand it, I first need to return to the rugged peaks of Hengshan and explore a military stronghold that has existed for more than 2,000 years, Yanmenguan Pass. The Hengshan Range here stretches about 14 kilometers from north to south, with many surrounding peaks rising about 2,000 meters. The pass itself sits at a much lower elevation, around 1,700 meters, forming a natural U-shaped valley through the mountains. It became one of the few easy routes across this formidable barrier. According to tradition, migrating wild geese also prefer this corridor on their journey south, giving the pass its name, Yanmenguan, literally the gate of wild geese. The sloping street on the northern side of the pass once served as a frontier marketplace during peaceful times. If we could travel back in time, we might see busy caravans and heavily loaded cars here. Silk, tea, and ironware from the south were traded, alongside horses and animal pelts from the northern grasslands.
这里是一个云梯，古代工程用的一个工具。
Between the first and second gate lies an enclosed area known as the Wenchen, If the outer gate fell, fierce fighting would take place here. Even then, the defenders still held the advantage, launching counterattacks from the towering second gate above. What surprised me most was finding a temple dedicated to Guan Yu and an old opera stage inside this small military enclosure. Apparently, even soldiers stationed on a dangerous frontier could occasionally relax and enjoy a theatrical performance.
石头，看见没？中间这个凹下去的这个车辙。
The second gate is called Di Li Gate, the gate of favorable terrain. Deep cart runs are still visible on the stone-paved passageway, likely worn by countless merchant caravans over the centuries. 旗子迎风招展，仿佛感觉到敌人来进犯了。左右两边是长城，可以上去转一圈。Inside the Guan Tower are military artifacts unearthed from many different dynasties, testifying to Yanmenguan's long history and the strategic fortress.
这个长城是明代的长城，看这些砖头有多大。这个砖塔看起来是唐朝的形式，因为唐朝的时候比较流行这种密檐砖塔，9层密檐砖塔，一层一层的叠色，整个轮廓是向上逐渐收分的。哇，这里就可以俯瞰雁门关。锁起来了。啊，果然这个塔是介于隋代，所以它的风格是唐代的，就可以理解了。21米。
Watchtowers were usually built on high ground. The lower floor provided space for soldiers to live and for storing weapons and supplies, while the upper floor served as an observation post and a place to light beacon fires. This small courtyard is called the Guanshu, where the commanding officers handle military affairs and daily life.
天险门攻破之后，这个雁门关就真的突破了。
The third gate is known as Tianxian Gate, the gate of heavenly peril. If this final line of defense were breached, nomadic armies could move through a chain of connected basins and push directly into the heart of Shanxi, eventually threatening the central plains themselves. Historical records suggest that more than 1,700 battles took place in and around Yanmenguan. Its extraordinary strategic importance earned the title, the first pass under heaven.
现在进镇边寺看一看。
In China, different kinds of temples have different names. A Si is usually a Buddhist temple, a Guan belongs to Taoism, and a Ci is generally dedicated to ancestral worship or historical figures. This Zhenbian Ci honors the military commanders associated with Yanmenguan throughout history. The general here is Ji Xin, traditionally regarded as the earliest commander to guard the pass, serving nearly 3,000 years ago during the Zhou dynasty. The second courtyard contains dozens of celebrated military figures from Chinese history, including Wei Qing and Huo Qubing, who fought against the Xiongnu during the Han Dynasty, as well as the legendary Yang family generals who defended the Song frontier. This courtyard functioned much like a hotel, receiving countless scholars, officials, generals, and travelers. Even 5 princesses set north in political marriages are said to have stayed here. To be honest, before coming here, I imagined Yanmenguan only as an imposing military fortress. I never expected to find temples, marketplaces, inns, and even an opera stage. But on reflection, it makes perfect sense. Whenever peace prevailed on both sides of the frontier, or whenever the northern grasslands and the central plains were united under a powerful dynasty, Yanmenguan gradually lost its military role and became a vital corridor for trade and transportation. The unearthed weapons and the car tracks beneath the gates tell the same story. Yanmenguan was shaped by both war and peace. And strong as Japan's was, the mountains could never support massive armies or large-scale logistics on their own. In 516, a new city emerged on the plains 13 kilometers to the south. That city was Daixian. It was a city born from frontier defense. Yanmenguan stood on the front line, while Daixian served as its rear base and command center. Together, they formed an integrated system of defense. Today, life inside the old city is peaceful. Narrow streets weave between family homes, and daily life moves at an unhurried pace. Yet during its height, thousands and sometimes more than 10,000 soldiers were stationed here. At the center of the city stands a remarkable structure, rising 40 meters high, roughly the height of a modern 13-story building. It dominates the entire skyline. Its name is Bianjing Tower, literally meaning pacifying the frontier. Hanging on its southern facade is a gigantic plaque measuring 3 meters high and 9 meters long, an exceptionally rare scale in traditional Chinese architecture. The inscription reads 声闻四达, meaning that the sound of drums and commands could be heard in all directions. Bianjing Tower served as both a lookout post and early warning system. When danger appeared at Yanmenguan, signals from beacon towers across the mountains would reach the city, and drums from this tower would relay the message farther afield. The building was also the command center of the city's defenses. The 3 floors inside once hosted military meetings, planning, and wartime coordination. Even today, this iconic structure remains the absolute heart of the old city. Southwest of the tower stands another important site, Wumiao, the Martial Temple, also known as the Temple of Guanyu. Like the Guanyu Temple and Yanmenguan, it honors the famous general from the Three Kingdoms period. But the scale here is much grander, something immediately apparent from its magnificent ceremonial gateway. The temple was built in 1329, although only part of the original complex survives today.
这边的大殿、谢殿，这是元朝的。
这是元朝的。
明清两代修过。
对。
这边是2004年。
这是后来增建的是吧？啊。这后面还有大殿吗？就这一个啊。固定的日期啊，农历的5月13，就是磨刀节啊，其实就是相当于庙会是吧？每年主祭一次是吧？对。
一出来，这边戏台下面这不就是一个正门吗？
对，对对。从这儿出去的是吧？
According to tradition, Guan Yu possessed not only extraordinary martial skill, but also unwavering loyalty and righteousness. Over time, he evolved from a historical general into a revered cultural figure. By the Qing dynasty, he had been elevated to the status of the martial sage, standing alongside Confucian, the civil sage. For generations of frontier soldiers, this temple was a spiritual sanctuary. Commanders prayed here before setting out on campaigns, and military rituals continued throughout periods of garrison life. Yet, defending a frontier required more than soldiers alone. It also depended on scholars, teachers, and a shared moral launder. Not far from the Martial Temple stands an even larger complex, the Confucian Temple on Wenmiao. It served both as an official educational institution and as a place to honor Confucius.
看一下文庙前面这个牌坊，孔雀蓝的琉璃瓦，上面斗拱很密集，应该是明清时候的吧。特别的地方就是柱头上面也都有琉璃瓦的这个浮雕。
In traditional China, Wen and Wu, the civil and the martial, were always regarded as complementary forces. Wen represented education, morality, and governance. Wu symbolized military strength, defense, and the maintenance of order. People believed that a prosperous state required both, governing through culture and securing peace through military power. Neither could stand alone.
成者天之道也，成之者人之道也。不在其位，不谋其政。
The Confucian Temple of Daixian carried that mission on the frontier, promoting education and transmitting moral values. On the eastern side of the old city stands another extraordinary monument. Its shape is unlike any of the pagodas I have encountered on this journey. Based on circular and dome-like forms, its design ultimately traces back to the ancient Indian stupa tradition. Its name, the Ashoka Pagoda, comes directly from Emperor Ashoka of the Maurya Empire. Legend says that after embracing Buddhism, Ashoka divided the relics of the Buddha into 84,000 portions and distributed them across the world in newly built stupas. The pagoda in Daixian is traditionally believed to be one of them.
中国本土的塔一般是方形的、四角的，或者是六角、八角。这种圆形的一般是来自印度的这种形式。这 上面这个图案，哎，这是花纹呢还是梵文？
Standing 40 meters tall, exactly the same height as Bianjing Tower, it possesses elegant proportions and a remarkably graceful silhouette. It is both an architectural treasure left to Daixian by earlier generations and a witness to cultural exchange across civilizations. From Yanmenguan to Bianjing Tower, from the Confucian Temple to the Ashoka Pagoda, countless armies and conflicts have passed through this land. Yet the spread of ideas and the exchange of cultures never ceased. Perhaps the ultimate force protecting this frontier was never merely its walls, passes, or beacon fires, but an invisible great wall built from faith, education, and a shared sense of loyalty and virtue. And perhaps that is what truly endures. Empires rise and fall, frontiers shift. But as long as people continue to pass on what they believe, what they learn, and what they hold sacred, civilization itself remains undefeated.